Morning. It is 7 o'clock Central, I guess 6 o'clock Eastern. I know it's super early. I like to get my job going early. I had to pick up today in Park Forest versus Forest Park here in Illinois, and the local pickup was 7, but I rolled out of bed kind of early today, so I was over there in their parking lot hanging around, and the lady said, "Hey, we'll let you in now." I got my load on board at 6, so now I am barreling along highway. I went through the western side of the eastern side of Chicago, and I am currently on Highway 94, heading eastbound, getting ready to follow the lake line going up. And the sun's in our face, and I apologize for that, but it won't be hours before it's done. So that's my current run. I am, as you can see, in the right lane, and I'm going 62, which is my speed. I'm currently getting 25.1 miles per gallon out of my van, so I'm quite happy about that. The topic today that I want to babble about, and I'm good at babbling, is recycling. Now, recycling has been around forever. It's not a new concept. I remember watching something here a few months ago. I got a whole lot of nobody on here right now. Hold on a second. There was a ship discovered in the Mediterranean, a sunken ship here back in the late 90s. And they had, it was an ancient ship that came from the Roman Empire. And they found a piece of a giant bronze statue, so they got excited. They're like, hey, we're going to recover something awesome. Turns out the ship was full of bits. Some were big, some were small, but the parts didn't match. And they realized it was a ship full of recycled parts. Now, why they would break up a statue, maybe the person that the statue was made of fell out of favor. It was full of miscellaneous parts that put all the bronze together to melt down and reuse. So that's recycling going back a few thousand years. So again, not a new concept. The 1970s is when I got introduced to it, and the 70s produced some weird things like disco and bell bottoms and some really bad music. Running became a craze back then, but so did recycling. It was kind of a new thing in the era, and I was introduced to it when I was about 6 or 7 years old. And it mainly revolved around aluminum. And if I'm remembering this correctly, aluminum cans were kind of a new thing in the 70s, because I remember there were steel cans. Steel or tin pop cans and beer cans were a thing back then. But they started the aluminum recycling kick back then, and my mother introduced me to it when I was, again, about 7 years old, and I really never backed away from it. I still recycle religiously and, dare I say, aggressively. And I chase down aluminum, and what I like about aluminum is it is the perfect metal. You can recycle steel a couple of times, and then its molecular structure changes, and you can't really do it anymore. Aluminum, you can recycle 1,000 times, and it makes absolutely no difference. And to melt down and reuse an aluminum can, it takes one can, well, in bulk, it takes 5% of the energy to recycle aluminum versus producing it. And this is back during the incandescent bulb era. They said that recycling one aluminum can is saving the equivalent of 3 hours worth of energy off a light bulb. So that's an incandescent bulb. So go to an LED bulb. That's like a light being turned on for 30 or 40 hours by picking up one can and recycling it. So I started doing that when I was a kid. And the technology of aluminum has changed as far as how cans are made. 30, 40 years ago, 20 cans was a pound of aluminum, and today it's 28. And the wife and I, like I said, even to this day, we aggressively save aluminum. In 1 year, we kept records, and we actually turned in 1,400 pounds of aluminum cans. Now think of that, 28 cans per pound times 1,400. So that's a lot. And most aluminum is very light, but the heaviest is those, you ever seen those aluminum beer bottles? Those ones that are really hard to push. Those are heavy duty, and those are, that has something to do with the total number that we would flip in. The communities here a while back started putting out those tubs. That's not always been there, where they have your trash can, and there's either, my parents have one of these, it's a bigger can, and it has a picture on it, it's green, and it's got a picture, and it says, for paper, tin, plastic, and aluminum only, so they separate their garbage. Other communities have the little baskets that are individual, they look like a Walmart basket, little handheld Walmart basket. You put your paper in this and your glass in that, and that's, different communities do it. And then other places you have a county workshop. We have one of those by my house where you can drive through and pop your trunk, and they'll take out cardboard and any kind of basic recyclables. I don't know what they do with a lot of that stuff. I know when newspaper was common, which it's not anymore. With newspaper, they would throw it on a belt and basically rinse it off, and it would rinse off the ink and the paper. Guys, that's the problems. The paper would turn into a mush, and it would turn into a pulp, and they could reuse the paper. But let's face it, newspapers aren't really a thing anymore, so you don't see that. Plastics come in different categories. We all think of plastic generically like a bottle, like a bottle for your laundry detergent, for instance. But plastic is also that interior package of the cookies you get, and it's like a little tray, and you can crumple it into a ball, the tray in your hand, and then release it, and it opens back up again. That really flimsy light stuff, that's also plastic. And it's literally a number on the bottom of the package, it'll be 7 or 2 or something, and I don't really know how they divide that up. The only place that I know of firsthand that uses recycled plastics is a company in East Texas in Longview, where they take incredible amounts of plastic in and they put it through a machine that grinds it up, and they refer to it as fluff. So they grind up all this aluminum plastic into this fluffy stuff, and they put it into a machine, and I don't know how this, if it compresses or melts or what, but it turns it into what appears to be a 2x4. And it even has a wood pattern on it. And they use it for decking park benches, and if you look around, if you're paying attention, you'll realize you're walking on plastic boards, and the great advantage of a plastic board over a wood board is they don't rot. Ever. They last forever, and that's kind of a neat little thing. I was at a rest area east of Houston here a while back on I-10, and I'm walking on this big fancy decking, and I'm kind of paying attention. It sounds a little different, and as you look real close, it was plastic. The whole thing looked like wood. It was painted gray, and the handrails and the ground was all made out of these plastic boards. So I think that's kind of a good reuse of that material, because Lord knows there's no plastic out there. But like I said, the wife and I aggressively recycle, and mainly our biggest thing is aluminum, because it's the most prolific and it's the easiest thing to recycle. I have here in the van right now, I have about 50 cans crushed down in a Walmart. I pick them up on the road, and it's what I do. I'm a little kid anymore, but I still do it. It's just a habit at this point. And it all kind of rolls into the concept of saving the world. Everybody likes to say, yeah, I'm environmentally conscious, and I'm going to save the planet. Well, it's really easy to play lip service to that, and pretty much everybody does. But at some point, how do you actually, quote, save the world? And today, it seems like people think it's done by standing up and making a bunch of noise. Blocking traffic and telling the world that you've got it all figured out, and if everybody just does what I tell them to do, the world will be a better place. That's all great and wonderful, but that doesn't work. If you want to save the world, just do your part. And if people see you doing your part, they might be impressed and say, hey, I like what that person's doing. I think I might try that. My wife and I live in a 2-bedroom, 2-story townhouse. We don't have a big 5,000 square foot mansion. We just live in a little tiny, comparatively speaking. There's like 2 of us. And when we bought it, I spent the money to replace all the windows for double and triple pane, high efficiency windows. We put in heavy duty insulation. Again, we're in Houston, it's hot. We switched out the air conditioner, put in a super high efficiency AC unit. And I went through the entire house because the previous guy really didn't do anything to it. We gutted it, remodeled it, but I put LEDs everywhere in the house. The whole house has been rewired. So our electric bill, based on the previous owner's electric bill, dropped to 1/3 of what he was paying. Because you can contact the electric company and say, hey, how much is a light bill here? It went down by 2/3. So I'm paying literally 1/3 of his bill by making it that efficient. We drive 4-cylinder, and for a couple times I've had 3-cylinder cars, and I have my Suzuki Berkman scooter. I don't have a big V8 monster truck or anything. And that's just a little thing that we do. And anybody can do that. Anybody and everybody can make a difference. I read somewhere that there was, this number seems weird, but it seems I read $8 million. There's $8 billion of aluminum laying on the ground in the United States right now. You can literally bend down and pick it up and recycle it. It's just laying there. And I'm driving around out here and pulling the truck stops. And the truckers, God bless them, have a tendency to be slobs, and they throw a lot of junk on the ground. And you walk around behind where the truck's parked, and you'll find cans all over the place. And you go into rest areas. Is that a truck car? No, it wasn't. That's just somebody making an illegal U-turn. That was interesting. Aluminum is everywhere. It literally is. And if you look, you'll find it on-ramps on the highway. People turn on the on-ramp and pitch stuff out the window. And it's kind of strange, but it's there. Pick it up, crush it, don't turn it in. Not only are you cleaning up the world, you're making a teeny bit of money, and you're doing your part. And people look at saving the planet or recycling, and they say, oh, I can't make a difference. Well, make a difference on your smaller scale. If you do it and I do it and somebody else does it, after a while, it makes a difference, and it's that simple. So start saving stuff. Pick up a little bit of trash off the ground. I read, again, this is how much time I have on my hands. I read that if everybody in the United States picked up 2 pieces of trash off the ground every day, within a month, there wouldn't be any trash on the ground in the United States. I mean, it's that simple. And it's not a lot of effort on anybody's part. When my wife and I pull into a parking lot and walk through a parking lot heading for a business or go to a restaurant, and there's a trash can by the front door, we will literally bend down and pick up little scraps of garbage on the way and throw it away. It's just a habit. We don't even talk about it. Do your part. I'm standing in a parking lot waiting. Like this morning, I was waiting for the gate to open to go in. I got there and I was up early. It was like 5:15, and I went over and pushed the button and said, hey, I'm here for 7. She goes, well, I can let you in at 6, but there's nobody here. And I mean, cool. And I sit all day, so I walk when I can. And I went for a walk around the parking lot, and I identified where the trash can was, and I literally picked up little bits of trash in the parking lot and threw in the can. Why? A little exercise, cleaning up the ground. Didn't hurt, didn't cost me anything. I watch people step over trash like it's not there. It's just it's not my job mentality. Like I said, do your part. I was in downtown Houston, and I was at a shopping center, a little worn-out shopping center, and I don't remember why I was there, but I was waiting on something, and the way the wind blew, all the trash that was loose ended up in this little wedge, this little corner by 2 unopened businesses. And I was standing there and I picked it all up, put it in the trash can, and there was a daycare center in the shopping center, and there were some little kids standing there watching me. So I made a point of picking up every little scrap and putting it away in the trash, and they watched me. And I'm hoping these little kids were thinking, that's not such a bad idea. Looked a whole lot better, again, cleaning up the road. Didn't cost me anything. You're standing there doing nothing. Why don't you stand there and do something? Something useful, something positive. But make a difference where you can. Don't, stand back and say, oh, gee, it's too big and I'm too little and I'm just one person. And, say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So just do your part. Recycle what you can. A little bit here, a little bit there. It doesn't go to landfills. It gets reused. It saves energy. It saves the landfill. That's how we're gonna make this world a better place. Standing back and yelling at people isn't gonna work. Telling the world, hey, you need to fill in the blank. It's not gonna work. You can do what you can do. You're not gonna make anybody else do it. So, do it. Have people watch you doing it. They're impressed. They go on from there. That's like these idiots that stand out and block traffic because they've got it all figured out. Well, you're complaining about oil and oil use and pollution, so you're going to stop people from going to work. And those people are driving cars, burning oil, and now they're just sitting there idling, burning oil, going nowhere. So kind of counterproductive. And you're not going to move people to your side and pissing them off. Sorry, it's not going to happen. One of those scooters I used to own a while back was a Honda Ruckus, which I enjoyed, but couldn't go fast enough for the stuff I wanted to do. I literally paid for it from scrap aluminum. I saved the aluminum up enough money to pay for it. And I told people that. That's why I called it my pop can. It was free. And that got people's attention. If you make sure the money is being saved for a purpose. That kind of threw people off. But like I said, do what you can. Do your part. Just do your little thing. And it's kind of like dieting. Everybody wants results now. You spent the last 20 years with pizza and beer, and you want to fix it in 20 minutes of working out or dieting, but it doesn't work like that. Dieting is just it's small changes over time. If you're serious about losing weight, I can tell you one way to guarantee it will work. Completely, absolutely, and utterly stop drinking soda. For a few days it's annoying because we're all kind of used to it. But once you stop drinking soda, after a little while, you won't miss it anymore. Your desire for it will go away. And I promise you'll lose weight, because that's like the worst thing you can do of all the foods out there. Soda's going to bite you in the ass the worst. And then in time, it'll make a difference. Recycling and saving the environment, saving the world, isn't a magic switch you can just throw. It's a small switch. Do your part. I got a friend of mine, he lives in Arizona, Glendale, Arizona, and he had solar panels installed on his house. I know there's people screaming solar all the time, always shine. House into his power box, and it's some kind of program where you finance it forever, and its payment against the solar panel plus the installation is like $60 a month. Those panels save him more than $60 a month on his electric bill. So not only using less power, he's saving money at the same time. It's a win-win. I would have those all over my place, but it's a townhouse. And I don't get to go up on the roof and install anything. It's not the way it works. But that's just one way you can make a difference. Look for one of those companies. If you have a house, look for a company that allows that'll come in and finance it out like that and let you plug it in. Or go out in the yard or put up some panels in the yard and just have it straight into your power box, just a supplement. But that's what's been going through my mind today. We're 20 minutes into this, and I literally don't have a single person who said anything, so I don't know where to go from here. give it a minute or two. But if anybody has a question or a comment, I'm all open for that. If somebody has an idea about recycling or saving or environmental stuff that they like or they can suggest, is there something that you do that's different, that's a little manufacture aluminum? There is a byproduct that looks like, I just watched this like yesterday. It's a byproduct that looks like red paste, and it's got all kinds of chemicals in it. They don't know what to do with it. So somebody recently made a process of extracting the chemicals out of it and using the chemicals, and when they're done, what they have is a red paste that's completely inert. There's nothing to it, and now they're giving or selling it to manufacturers to use in foundations and whatnot. It's just like, wow. That's kind of funny, that they were able to take the garbage from aluminum manufacturing and turn it into something else. I thought that was kind of funny. But if anybody has an idea, what do you do? What little steps do you take? We literally had a bar that was semi-close to our house, and they had a dumpster out back, and they would throw away bags. I don't know why they did this. Bags of aluminum. And especially those aluminum bottles, I think they were Budweiser bottles. My God, they would throw them away. My wife and I would fish them out with a hook. We had gloves, we had a hook and bags. And just for fun, we would count them as we put them in the bag. And you could sort of crush the bottles with your feet, but not that much. And one day, we counted, we pulled 363 bottles out of that dumpster. Those heavy aluminum bottles that we almost couldn't carry back to the house, which was 100 yards away. And I've read that once you recycle aluminum, from the time you drop it off where it goes through the process, that can is back on the shelf within 6 weeks, and you're buying the can again, which I thought that was kind of cool. Come on, I need somebody to work with me here. I literally have 0 comments on here. Somebody come up and just tell me I'm a poopy head or something. Make sure I'm not out here talking to myself. Don't get me wrong, I talk to myself a lot. And I know it's early in the morning. Sorry. My GPS is showing 109 miles to my drop. And for my drop up here, I'm hoping to get one of my cross-country runs. I'd like to have a super long run doing locals. I want a California run or something. Currently getting 24.7 miles per gallon out of the van. I usually run in eco mode when I'm light or empty, but right now I have a 900-pound, rather small, but 900-pound pallet in here, and I'm running in tow mode. And what that does is it changes where your transmission shifts so as not to lug into you. Let's see what we got. I'm still trying to find the way to run music through my speakers. Run music while going down the road, and I've been yelled at by YouTube for doing that in the past. I have some videos taken in 2022. The wife and I were walking around in Cleveland on the museum ship. Oh, hold on a second, right there. That's the same car. Hold on. Just crap. Marker. Hold on. And north and southbound, we got highway patrol right there on the border at the state line watching. Looks like he's watching southbound. Undercover. Name median. Alright. Coming up on a rest area here. Pure Michigan. Welcome Center. Those are nice. I've been up here in the wintertime and it's nice and cold, and I like the cold. Coincidentally. I took some pictures here and I was wearing my Mad Bomber hat because it was snowing. And I like wearing my Mad Bomber hat. I grew up my entire life not knowing what was going on in Michigan, and my brain says Detroit. As a teenager, just Detroit. That's all you think of in Michigan. But you get out here in the open, away from the city, and this state is actually beautiful, shockingly beautiful. I really enjoyed the Grand Rapids area, north and west of there was absolutely gorgeous, and I like the cold temperatures. I've had enough hot temperatures to keep me going for a while. I spent the night in a rest area north of Grand Rapids up here once. It was a rest area in the woods. When I say in the woods, I mean you zigzag back and you're waiting for Bigfoot to come wandering. Yeah, that was weird. And when I sleep at night, I put up my blinders and I crack the windows open about an inch because you can hear what's going on outside. If there's anybody out there creeping around, you can hear their footsteps and the crunch on the ground and stuff. So I keep my windows cracked. Nothing happening. Way station. See, this is right here. Here's a way station on the right. If you look, that's one of the advantages of being in this van is I don't have to stop there. I'm under 10,000 pounds, so I don't even have to mess with that. As a matter of fact, this van gross weights full at 9,070. So I don't even fall under that category. Another reason expediting is so much easier than truck driving. No CDL, no logbooks, no time limits on how much you can drive, just like driving your car. You can always find parking. You can take it to the grocery store. You can do whatever you want with the van. As a truck, it's a little more limiting. Well, that guy got up to speed in a hurry. According to GPS, the lake is just to our left other side of the highway over there. Can't see it. But we are northbound on 94. We just crossed the Michigan border about 5 minutes ago. Anyway, I was saying I was in Chicago in 22 with the wife. We were up there doing a podcast about the Cannonball Run. There's a museum ship right there by the lakefront airport. It's the submarine USS Cod, a World War II sub. And I guess we picked the right day to go on board because there was absolutely nobody there, which was wonderful. No crowds. And we on that same trip went to the U-505 in Chicago, the German U-boat, and then we went to this one. And those submarines are night and day difference as far as creature comforts and size. The most common German U-boat during the war was the Type 7. This one was a Type 9 that was captured at sea. The Type 9's bigger and it's still dinky. You go see the Cod, it's like way more creature comforts and privacy and whatnot on board. But we were walking through there, and it's in my one of my playlists. It might be under vacation or scenic route about the USS Cod. We're walking around filming, and in the background, somewhere in the submarine, they're playing that World War II big band music, which I happen to enjoy. And the music's out there banging along, and I'm filming, I'm talking, I film, and I get a nasty gram from YouTube, and they go, "You can't play unlicensed music." I said, "I don't even know where that's coming from." And I challenge you to tell me what the name of the song is. It's just, something from the 1940s. So I'd like to be able to film going down the road and playing music, but everybody says you have to go to the YouTube official music whatever, and I can't find it, to be honest with you. I've been looking, and I still can't find it. Such is life, right? Alright, we're coming up on 30 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pull this, and I'm going to go back to listen to my big band music. Take care. That went nowhere. I got one person.